mean, my dogs, they're loving life right now. I mean, they're not supposed to eat them. Apparently, they're bad for them. But
Yeah,
I mean,
that's something new. I mean, if this is only every 17 years, then I mean, we're not going to be talking about cicadas very often.
Right.
But I had no idea until I saw it on the local news. It said that dogs are not supposed to eat cicadas and do not let them. But you said that.
Wow, try to corral the dogs from being outside. I mean, we've got a fenced-in yard, and I'm not even kidding. They just walk the fence line the entire day. And, I mean, the things, they're not the brightest.
Yeah.
I mean, they fall out of the tree, and then the dogs are, like, running after them. I mean, the dogs will fight over who gets to eat them. I mean, it is crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
Well, you know that they can't be that smart because when you go to pick them up, they just let you.
Right.
Like, most bugs are taking off on you before you can even get close to them. But those ones, you just go down and grab them by their back, and they do that thing with their arms where they're just, like, scrolling around for a second.
I mean, the other day, I was watching, I mean, you can't contain the dogs. Like,
no,
you have to
there's no way.
we just limit their time outside because you can't stop them from eating them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're everywhere. And there was one, and my one dog was, like, chasing after it. You know how when an object is flying or thrown their way, it becomes a game.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're all about it.
So she got one in her mouth. It was still alive. And before she could even chomp down on it, she had her mouth. The thing flew out of her mouth. And her tail just started wagging like crazy. And then she chased after it.
Chasing after all of them then, probably, yeah.
And the second time she got her mouth on it, it didn't end well for the cicada.
Oh, I bet it didn't.
I mean, it is impossible to keep them from hunting
Yeah.
them. I mean, their noses are just in the ground, just hunting.
Well, yeah, so I have a dog too, but she, like I said, it's not around our house, so she hasn't seen any of them yet. So I don't know how she's going to react. I've seen her. She usually doesn't chase around many bugs though. Like if there's bees flying around, she'll glance at them, and maybe one time I've seen her try and take a bite at a bee flying through the air, which is first off not easy to catch, and second off probably wouldn't end well for her. She'd probably get a big old sting in the mouth, and she probably wouldn't try to eat bees anymore. Maybe if she ate a bee, got stung, she wouldn't eat any cicadas then.
Could be.
But we'll find out if she tries to chase around the cicadas. You know what she does like though?
What's that?
Rabbits.
Really?
Yeah, we have had probably 3 or 4 nests of rabbits make nests in our backyard in the ground. Mm-hmm. And usually, graphic content, you see her coming around the corner with like usually they're dead by the time she even gets to them because most of the baby rabbits don't survive, but there's usually she comes around with a baby rabbit in her mouth and she eats it. And we never know what's going to happen until we see a baby rabbit somewhere and we're like, oh, Mac got to the nest.
Yeah.
But you'd think that survival, the rabbits, they can smell the dog around. You'd think, they have to come. We have a fence as well in our backyard. They'd have to come in through the fence and then smell her and then still put their thing right there. So I don't know.
The other day, so speaking of animals, our dogs, I guess there's a mice den somewhere in our neighbor's yard or something. I mean, we found 3 of them in our pool floating around.
Really?
And our dog ended up with one of them.
from the pool
from
found
the
in the grass?
Yeah, in the grass. And it was one of those things where the dog came back inside and had like the blood like on its like chin line. In her hair.
All gnarly.
Yeah, and it was not a pretty scene.
No, dude, it's nature, but it's gruesome sometimes when these dogs get a hold of stuff. Have you ever heard when they talk about like now this is more I think with like people and other dogs, but they say if you have an aggressive dog and it gets in a fight, they say when they get that first taste of blood. I don't think that's the case with the small rabbits and stuff like that. I mean, for gosh sakes, it's what they were born and bred to do. I mean, it's what they were practically created for, was hunting like that.
Right.
But when they get their hands on something, a rodent or something smaller than them that they can toss around, it's usually not pretty.
Yeah,
it's usually not a great sight.
I think even when you see them playing with a toy and they do like that tugging head twirl, and you're just like, I mean, that's for hunting. Yeah, like they're there to get an animal, and like that's how they would kill it.
I mean, we lived in the developed world, and there's a lot of this world that's still undeveloped in which they'd have dogs like that running around hunting. I mean, what would that scene look like if we had our normal houses right now, but there were just stray dogs all over the place? Nobody even had them in their houses, and they were just hunting all the time. You might live your life even a little bit differently.
Yeah, it'd probably be a little more scary.
Yeah, I mean,
watch yourself.
Double up the coyotes. Just imagine that in your head. I mean, triple, quadruple, who knows how many numbers, and make some of them bigger and slightly more aggressive. I mean, I've seen some big dogs. They're like wolves, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to fight that thing.
But have you ever seen a coyote?
Yeah, I have seen a couple of them.
They're really. I saw my first one when I was on my trip in Connecticut, and I was shocked about how small they actually were. Like, I expected it to be, I guess I was thinking it was more like a wolf where it was bigger.
Yeah.
But, like, they're really not that big. But they're just so violent.
I've seen a couple big ones that were, but they're still, they're not what you imagine. Like, we all read the books or, like, throughout school and stuff, when we look at wolves, you're like, man, they're massive. They're enormous. And you automatically associate coyotes with those wolves just because they're, like wild dogs, kind of similar related. But then you see a coyote and they really aren't that big, but they are aggressive, and rabies and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be a pet.
Yeah.
Like, if you saw one, like, out of, like, the corner of your eye, you're like, oh, there's a dog right there.
And
like,
you want to hear something?
Sure.
Somebody has that as a pet right now. Somewhere,
for sure.
Somewhere in this country, somebody has a coyote.
For sure.
Absolutely.